My fault. Sorry.
I think I shouldn't have.
Take the sound out.
Right? Okay, right, it's done, I think. Yeah. Okay. So, okay, sorry about that. Not sure. Great, so. Okay. Got it. But that's weird because I turned off the sound in the Meetup, but yeah, well, whatever. No.
Podes fazer mute ao teu PC.
It's muted.
Mas ao som mesmo.
Não é o microfone.
It's muted.
Yeah, it's okay now? Looks like it. No.
I can.
Everything now works, no?
I don't think so. Ah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Sorry.
Is it okay now? Okay, great. So, yeah. Sorry about that. Okay, off to a great start. Okay. So, thank you guys for coming. My name is Bernardo. Actually, I volunteered to speak here about RxJS and Angular. I'm a remote web developer at eBench. We are hiring a remote web developer. I'll have a link at the end of the presentation. I like to listen to podcasts, audiobooks. I also like Ruby a lot. And I've been working with Angular with Angular 2 for the past year. So I started in I think it was prior to RC1. A lot of things changed. Parts of the project changed. Are you guys who is using Angular 2 or used Angular 2? A lot of guys. Yeah. Okay. Great. What? Okay.
Angular 1.
Angular 1. Okay. Cool. And RxJS. Do you guys have any familiarity with it? Okay, cool. Actually, this is supposed to be an introductory talk, so maybe you guys already know a lot about this. Well, anyway, we'll keep going from there. So the thing about RxJS, as most of you guys probably already know, is that it's a little bit complex. It's really easy to make mistakes and have errors. And talking about RxJS is not easy as well because there's a lot of terms, and I'll be skipping a ton of them. I'll just try to talk about it in a more general way. If you guys know about it. If I see something that's really stupid, please just tell me. So otherwise, let's just hang with me. I hope the presentation itself makes sense. Okay. So what is RxJS? RxJS is an implementation of the React extensions, which is a programming model developed at Microsoft. It was originally implemented in .NET. RxJS is the JavaScript implementation of the reactive pattern, and there's implementation for a lot of different languages, and it heavily relies on the observable object. It's like the primitive. You see observables like everywhere, and when you're not using observables, if you're using something like a subject is sort of an observable, so you see a lot of them. Okay. So what is an observable? An observable is implementation of the observer pattern, which is actually it's a combination of the observer pattern with the iterator pattern, which they call the Rx pattern. But instead of the consumer requesting the next value, the observer pushes the value out. It's a little bit like iterators. Yeah. So if we want to create our own observable with RxJS, we can do right. Okay. So when we create an observable, it returns the observer as an argument, and we need to push the values, pull the values. So we need to send them in. So if we do observer.next Bob, Laura, Cooper, and then we complete with Cooper, then nothing happens. If I take this out of here, didn't I run this? Actually, I should probably clear it, run it, nothing happens. Then if we subscribe to the observable, right, then we get the output. Okay. So observables are used to do reactive programming, which is an asynchronous programming paradigm, and each observable is like a data stream. So what we've seen here before it was a stream of strings, but data streams can be of everything. They can be made of HTTP requests, mouse clicks, network requests, key presses, basically arrays, strings, like we've seen before. They can be anything, and they're like the basic type. When we talk about an observable, it's like sort of an array, but it's an array in time. So when you have an array and you do map on an array, you can like transform that map if you are used to JavaScript array primitives or whatever. But imagine that instead of having those values like set in space, they're like spread across time. So for most of you guys that have used Angular 2 and you are seen anything about Angular 2, I think the first time that you actually get to use RxJS is when you subscribe to a GET request. The GET request returns an observable, and only when you press subscribe, we get the response from the GET request, which will then be mapped almost always in order to get the JSON out of the HTTP request, unless the HTTP request fails, which is another, which will make us have to handle the error of the HTTP request. So I'm going to do a small demo here, where basically we're going to create a div, and we're going to track mouse movement from left to right, and right to left, and we're going to move we're going to rotate the square left and right according to where our mouse is moving. So in order to do that, we'll have to yeah, so in order to do that, we'll have to create an observable of the mouse events, because they are just a function call. Yeah. So right. So this is a square. When we move our mouse to the left, it will actually rotate to the right, and when we rotate it to the right, it will move to the left. What we're doing is we are applying a CSS transform at the end of the string. So all of these examples are in Angular. So if you're not familiar in Angular, there might be something that you don't know. If you don't know, just ask. So what we are doing here is creating the div, and we're saying that when the mouse moves, we want to say that that's the next event, like Alex and Bob were an event before on that observable. Though we are not using an observable, we are using a subject, which is different, and I'll talk about that later. But generally in Angular, it's basically the easiest way to get events from the Angular templating mechanism language. Yeah. So okay, when we've got the movement, so what we say is that whenever we get like the mouse move, we're going to get the screen X, and we're going to save it. So we're going to get like the previous X screen position and the current X screen position. So if our X is like our current X is bigger than the previous X, then we are moving to the right. Otherwise, we're moving to the left. I might be confusing like left with right, but I think you get the idea. So for example, if you want to see how this is happening, right, if we get back here and we go right, so we're going to the right, you see that it says that the previous was 439 and we are moving right. So if we now move left, you see that it's saying that we are moving to the left. Okay. So then what we do is we count how many times we are moving to the left and how many times we're moving to the left. If we're moving to the right, then we'll increment 1. If we move to the left, then we'll decrease 1. You can see that as well. So you can see that if I go right, actually it's negative. If I go left, it's positive. Then what we do is that we get a native element and we style it. We apply the transform property and we rotate it the X degrees. So yes, basically that's it. In case you are not familiar with Angular, what we are doing is that we say that we have a view child that has its reference. So when we do this dot square, we get the div. Great. Makes sense, right? Okay, cool.
TypeScript.
Yeah, TypeScript. We said that. Yeah. So I don't know if you're familiar with Angular. Generally, if you
I use professionally 1. I
Yeah.
just did a project with Ionic 2, so that's why
yeah.
it's a big difference. It's using TypeScript.
Yes, it's a very big difference. If you can use JavaScript, like plain old JavaScript, but you need to implement like the dependency mechanism yourself, because when you use a constructor, which I'm not using, so yeah, well, whatever. I'll show you an example later. But yeah, you can like implement with JS classes and whatever. But I think it gets real messy. Around here. So for example, I know that subject is putting out a mouse event. So if I go here and I say that my event and I try to do like dots, I don't know. Oh, it will tell me that okay, event doesn't have we don't even have event, but it will tell me that event doesn't exist. Sorry, it will tell me that hell doesn't exist because it's not a property of a mouse event, and that's cool. I mean, I think that's really cool. Though I like dynamic languages a lot because I like Ruby, but it's cool to get your errors before you get to the DOM. I'll get to the browser. But yeah, okay, so that's basically it. So what we did is, yeah, so we turned our mouse event into an observable, sort of, or into a stream of data, and we kept our state with scan. And we used scan again to keep a counter, and then we applied the counter as a rotate 3D CSS transform. Great. Okay, so that was it. So I based this presentation on RxMarbles, which is a pretty cool website. it allows you to see how you can combine strings. The thing is that Rx Marbles is for Rx version 4, and I think it's 4, maybe it's even 3. I'm not really sure. And so the categories that are here on the left were the ones that I used because it's an initial course and I thought it would be a cool resource. This is not the same kind of categories that you'll see on RxJS docs. So yeah, that's one thing. So yeah, marble diagrams. So you can see here that when we are mapping and we have a stream of like 1, 2, 3, and we map and we like multiply by 10, we get like 10, 20, and 30. Probably you can't see it, but believe me, it's true. So if you want to like know what happened before, like as your stream is moving in time and you need to keep some kind of state, you need to use scan in order to remember your past position. Actually, you don't really need to use scan. There are other operators, but yeah, scan is one of them. We want to sum up, we'll have to do 1, 3, yeah, we use scan and we'll get 1, 3, 6, 10, yeah. We can use delay. So for example, if we, let's go back to our code. So for example, if we want to say that, okay, I only want this to happen like a second after. Okay. You see, I'm moving the mouse. Okay. Right, so we are delaying our stream a second. So yeah, then we have debounce. Debounce is particularly useful if you've got like a lot of, if you're like doing some typing and you got a lot of like, it's entering A, B, C, D, and you want to like dispatch that stream, but you don't want it to be that fast, you can say like, okay, just give me a sample every like 10 seconds, something like that. Or 10 seconds is likely a lot, but I guess you get the idea. So if we want to create our own operator, we'll be implementing, actually it's already implemented, but it's if you want to implement map yourself, you can define a function that's called calculate. It will receive a function because map receives a function, right? So, and basically this is boilerplate, but what you can say is that on the next you will apply the function on the current element. And so then if you assign calculate to the prototype and you do foo.rx.observable.interval, this will basically be pulsing like 1, 2, 3, 4 every second, and you apply calculate, it will multiply it by, in this case, by 6. Clear this, run it again. Actually, observable didn't subscribe, unsubscribe. Right. So this is because we are subscribing at the bottom of the screen. Okay. So when we're subscribing, we are logging the current element. We can't see the rest of it, but okay. In case it errors, it will throw out an error. This won't error. At least this string won't error. Okay. Let's get back to the presentation. Cool. No, sort of. Okay, so as I said before, Rx Marbles doesn't have the same kind of categories, and it even has some observable methods that are deprecated, that are not used anymore. I still think it's a pretty good resource because it's very visual and you can see them, like you can really see how the strings interact with each other. Though if you want to see like the real documentation and you want to really see like which operators you have, you should go to the reactive docs, which are like really through. They have a lot of information. They are like spot on, but they are really complex. And if you're new to RxJS, it's a lot to take in. So for example, in Rx Marbles, we've got transforming operators, combining operators, and filtering operators. Mathematical, Boolean, and conditional, they're like, man, they're not really that useful, I think, unless you're doing maths and stuff. But on RxJS docs, you've got like this ton of of observables, which are super useful, but again, in the beginning, overwhelming. Yeah, no, they actually have something really cool, because sometimes we don't know what operator we should use. If you're using RxJS, happens like all the time, and they've got like this decision tree of observables when you've got like, okay, so I want to create a new observable that emits a particular event, then I should use just. If I want to create a new observable that results from a function call or subscribe time, then I should use start. And then they've got like all this human readable language and the operators that you can use. Okay. So I'll be showing you a little bit more about transforming operators, combining operators, and filtering operators. Yeah. So on our previous demo, we created a string that looked for when the mouse moved right or when it moved left. So we can create another string that can tell us if the mouse moved up or down, and we can also apply CSS transformations based on that. Okay. This is basically the same code. The difference is, so we have our left to right counter, which toggles the mouse move again, and that's exactly the same thing. And then we have the up and down counter, which instead of looking to the prev x, looks to the prev y. And we scan it again and see if it goes up or down. So what we need to do now is we need to combine both observables. And we need to combine them in a way that we can get like both counters at the same time. So we want to know if it went up and down previously, and actually we want to get the counter up and the counter down at every mouse move. So we can do that with combine latest. If we go here and instead of subscribing, if we look at the insides of okay. So we can see that if we go up, it will tell the up counter is going up. If we go down, the up counter is going down. And if we go left and right, it's still going left and right. And then we apply this all to CSS transformation. So we see that it's kind of gets trippy. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, so that basically that's how you can combine streams and still get the state of them. The state of both counters. So as you can probably guess, if you can combine like multiple strings, and even though this is just like mouse events, we can be talking about network requests, clicks, and we can get like the old state of the component with the combined latest, like the output of the combined latest. Okay. So there's a lot of combining operators. And that's basically it. I don't think it makes much sense to go through them anymore. But yeah. Okay. I'll be honest, I think I missed something right now because it says demo time, and I'm not really sure why it's demo time. Sorry about that. Oh, great. Yeah. Okay. So imagine that. So we had our square, but imagine that we want to like restart it or stop it and then start it again. Imagine that you have the state of your component right now, and you want to like restart it. So what you can do is switch the current observable, and you say like, I don't want anything. So you say you've got like the observable trip rotate, and you create a new observable that does absolutely nothing, and you subscribe to it. When you click on, when you do a click, basically, yeah, I should probably show you the string. So what we do is that we create a new subject for the click event. So it's gonna say like you clicked, you clicked, you clicked, and tells you a lot of information about what you clicked. We're just gonna say like, this is our current state. Like, did we? So if I restart this, you see like it says stop. Now it says start. Now it says stop because it keeps its current state. So it says like, okay, so I started with start. Then if I press stop, then we need to update the text button. And we are saying like, if it start goes true, if it's stopped goes false. So if we got a true, then we keep the current observable. If you get a false, we unsubscribe the older of the trip rotate observable, and we put a new observable in. The problem with this, and we'll solve it later, is that if we go somewhere around here and we stop it, okay, if we start it, it will start again from the beginning. That's because we unsubscribe the initial observer. If we want to keep state, we have to we'll have to use something else. So I think I might have been a little bit confusing right now. Are you guys following me? Is it okay?
Yep.
Great.
I didn't understand where you're stopping and starting.
When I'm stopping and starting. Okay.
I got the button, yeah, but the code that switches between the observables.
Yes. So let's see. If I put a
Yeah, that one I got.
You got it?
That's the button, right?
Oh, yeah. That's the string event from the button. Okay. It's here. It's the overall animation. That's what we're subscribing to right now. Okay. So what it does, this is the pause square string. And what we do is, if we got an X, if we got true, then it switches from the observable trip rotate, which is the one that does like the rotation stuff. Otherwise, it will pass to the observable.never, which is observable that doesn't do anything.
Okay. That pause square is the button. Or
pause square is the button. Yes.
True and false.
Yes. Actually, it returns a lot of different stuff, but we are scanning it and getting the previous position. So if it gets true, what we do is that like we negate the previous state and we get false, and it will go around like that. Okay. sitchMap unsubscribes automatically from the previous, unsubscribes automatically this audio observable. So what happens is that the observable is like finished. Okay. Cool? No, I think you still have a couple of questions.
No, I'm good for now.
So wait a minute.
Maybe someone else.
So by the way, if you are using RxJS, using do to log the output of your stream, it's like super helpful. So when we press start, stop, start, stop, start, stop, that's what the sitchMap observable is getting. You get that, but it's a lot of magic, right? There are worse operators. The thing
magic part is the auto unsubscribe.
Auto unsubscribe.
That's okay.
Yeah. But you can see that because
it's unsubscribing that one that you return from the sitchMap.
It's unsubscribing both observables that are inside. So if I show you, it's probably easier if I show you the state of. So you can see that the counter is going up and down, and when we stop it, and now we start it, it started back again. So then we've got filtering operators. It works a lot like, actually it depends a lot. Again, this is from Rx Marbles. We can say that, for example, if our observable didn't change, in this case it doesn't make any sense because anytime you move your mouse, you get a different output. But you can say like, if the observable didn't change, don't get me anything. So you filter out different results without having to implement a scan in between. You can also get distinct values. So if for some sorry. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you've got distinct and distinct until change. So they are sort of the same thing, but they are not the same thing, and I don't remember the difference right now. But yeah, but the idea is that if you get like, if you don't want to get different results, you can just say like, I don't want it, then use distinct. Otherwise, you can use a filter that works a lot like array prototype filter, and you can just say that, okay, I don't want values that match this condition. Another thing that you can do is that you can say like, I just want to take 10 of these, and then it will automatically unsubscribe. So if I can say like, take 30, it will, something went wrong. So yeah, we can say here like, take 30. And it will stop. We took 30 samples and then it went away. This is helpful, for example, if you do an HTTP request and you only want to receive one, like one response, you can say take one, and you don't have to unsubscribe from that observable. Okay. So
Doesn't HTTP requests auto unsubscribe?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm not sure about it, but
I think they do, but I'm not sure also.
I think that too.
they do.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, then they do. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah, but it's helpful for probably other things. Yeah. Okay, great. So yeah, getting back to it. So we are not unsubscribing our observables, and we should like on ng on init, on view init. It will depend on the case. Generally, ng on init and ng on destroy is good enough, but sometimes you might not have a reference to the button or something like that, and you probably will have to do that in a different Angular callback, not callback, but Angular view cycle, lifecycle. Yes, lifecycle book. So yeah, in this case, I only put it like it makes moving all around a lot of stuff, and it's not like that interesting. But the idea is that when we create the subscription, like when we do this subscribe, when we do this subscribe, we get a subscription, we get a reference to it, and on destroy, we unsubscribe from it, so we don't have to keep it. So yeah, so basically that's it. Because actually, if our component lives in a lot of places in our app, we're going to have a lot of flat subscriptions that are not used for anything. In this case, it's like, man, it doesn't really matter that much. Okay, right, but yeah, so I think this is the biggest problem about reactive programming, is that people like get a mouse event and they start tripping over stuff, and you want to develop web apps, and it doesn't really matter that much. And I get your pain. And I thought about showing you a little bit of dynamic forms, and in dynamic forms you must use reactive programming in order to take care of what you are receiving from the server and transforming the server into form objects. Reactive forms are really powerful. I just had a conversation with you guys about it, and it's awesome. But yeah, just see this talk about Gary Erickson. But the basic idea is that you can just send objects from the server, and they'll just transform into just transform into forms, obviously. Yeah, and then there's the thing that if you need to build something that is a little bit custom, you're gonna have to like debounce key events. You're going to have to, I don't know. Basically, you'll have to keep the stream alive. You'll have to manage it. You don't need to do that like right away, but from time to time you'll have to do it. The instant search component is like the Netflix example that everyone likes to see, and you get requests and it might be like out of order, and you need to keep track of all the things, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's the type bad, right?
Yeah. Like as you are typing, requests are being made to the server, and then you get back, and we're going to do something like that further on, and almost without reactive programming, though. We'll get to that. So the thing is, we talked a little bit about subjects before. Actually, I passed on subjects. The thing about subjects is that if we look at the code from the observables, and okay, so they implement both the observable and the observer button. It's like, wow, observables, good, yeah. But the thing is that we can imperatively push values into them, where in observables we cannot. We have to define what we push when we define them. And you could see that in the code before, and I'll show you a little bit now. So when we create a subject, this is like vanilla RxJS. You do like an event listener, and you do subject.next.click. It's almost what we did before, but we're using the Angular template syntax. And then we subscribe it, and we get a log. And when we click on the button, we'll get a log of what we're clicking at. Supposedly, we should use observables because they are self-contained. And what we would do is that we would define an event listener, and then we would return how we can destroy this observable. So we would go to the button again, and we would remove the click handler. So let's change our code to, oh yeah. By the way, the Ben says ideally you don't wrap your event registration in an observable that can set it up. So an observable can set it up and tear it down. So yeah, let's fix our component. No, we're not going to fix it, because if you look at the code, we are adding event listeners, which means that in Angular we're going to like have to use the renderer, and it doesn't really matter that much, because since we can control the life cycle of our component, and we can unsubscribe and subscribe to the observables, and the component is supposedly destroyed and garbage collector, we don't need to do this. And it's a lot easier to just push the values with subject. But we can use subjects for something else. So as we've seen before, so getting back to our demo, when we stop the observable, and okay, yeah. So when we stop this guy, and then when we start it again, it restarts because the observable isn't subscribed. But well, major spoiler alert. So if we actually want to keep the state of our current, if we want to save this state and we don't want to subscribe from the initial, actually we unsubscribe, but subject replays the previous state. So when we start again, it will get the previous state. So it will. Second. So now it rotates. We hit stop. When we start again, it maintains its state. So what did we do in order to get this? Basically, the translate coordinates, we call subscribe to it, and we pass in this subject. So this subject is going to save the last. Oh, sorry about that. Is it good now? Okay. So yeah, so we create a new subject and we pass it up to the subscribe of the translate coordinates. Translate coordinates is the observable that is saying what we are going to apply. It just subscribes and unsubscribes to the observables by itself. You don't need to worry about that. And so basically that's what we're going to do now. Oh, yeah, right. So I'm not sure if you can see this, but this is a component that we had to build at eBench. What we do is social media analytics, and we get like, we do graphics. We say like, I don't know, beauty and apparel has a lot of followers if you follow this girl, or that kind of stuff. So we have this component that what it does is that it sends 5,000 posts to the view because they are like marshaled somewhere else in the architecture. And we can filter our posts by the weekdays, by engagement, and we can say that we want only up like the engagement or any other metric that is present on the post. We can reorder them, and you'll see that the pagination, it will update itself like as we are filtering everything. And this was done only with pipes. I'll show you a live example of it. Because in a way, pagination is just your data transformed as well. Because if you got like 100 posts and you say that you want like 50 posts per page, it's just a transformation. Like you got 100 posts and you got an array that says 1, 2. So if we say that we want, like we filter our posts by, okay, that's just stupid. Like, I don't know, 1 to 6. Okay, so we want, see, we only have 19 pages right now. If we take this out, pagination goes up into 2,000 pages. We can say that we want posts that only have images, or that have carousel, or that have video posts. Are you seeing this little bug in here? This little guy that doesn't have an icon? That's because we have one post. Actually, no, we have more than one post. That's got a type. The types are dynamically fetched from the posts, and we can filter on them dynamically. And we can say that we want Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or whatever. And we can even switch views. And, well, oh yeah, obviously. Oh no, it's not working because it's not fetching the images. Okay, doesn't matter. Are you guys like blocking Facebook or something? Okay. Anyway. doesn't really matter. But the thing is that like this post is a view, and we can just like change views, and supposedly this would be like full of images. But since we are not able to get any images, and you can see that because we have got like these weird icons around here, it says like, okay, so I don't have any icons, and pagination still works, and yeah. So let's do something like this. Well, So what we're going to do is that we're going to use the Spotify API. We'll be searching for whatever artists we want. We'll get the first 28 artists by that query. We won't be like getting through pagination or whatever, but from those 20 artists, we'll be able to say like we only want artists that have like more than 60 importance or something like that, and we'll also grab the tags that each artist has, and we'll be able to filter on the kind of music that we want for those 20 artists. Okay, well, bye. So. Okay. Bigger. I'll need to get a key because it only lasts for an hour. So if you want to search with my Spotify account,
Bernardo, pode ir outra vez a essa janela do local que ainda agora estavas e fazer refresh.
Is it okay?
No. Dizer,
okay, got it.
Yeah. Obrigado. Join.
Okay. So okay. So let's search for an artist. I generally search it for Bon because it gets me Bon Iver and Bon Jovi. So you can see that as we are searching, we are like using the Spotify database like instantaneously. If you say like, I don't know, Beyonce or Yolanda, be cool, yeah. So we then take all the categories from these artists, and we display them in an ng model. Everything that you see inside on the top, it's an ng model, ng model, ng model, and ng model. So for example, for the current result, we can say that we only want Scottish rock, and obviously since this has only one result, you can like know that it has the tags groove metal, metalcore, new metal, and rap. You can get back to all. Obviously, all was like added. Yeah. All is if you've seen ng pipes, it's like if I receive all, I always send everything, or no, yeah. So we can say that we want only guys that have at least 60 popularity. They're not that popular, so they're like maybe 30, yeah. Okay, so let's look at the code now. So basically, let's not think about this for a while. Okay, yeah. Got it. Let me. Okay. Move this down a little bit. Okay, so this is basically the code that extracts the categories. Let's not look into this right now. Let's just look into the results. What we do is that we say that we want the results of search search is an ng model that is looking into this input right here. So what we are typing there, it's going to get into there. And so we'll pipe that into search Spotify, which is a pipe that basically what it returns is an HTTP request to the Spotify API. Most of this is just like boilerplate to put headers, authorization, whatever. And if the pipe is empty, you just return an observable of an array empty, because we are going to send it to the sync pipe and we'll need to subscribe from it. So yeah, basically, whenever we type something, we get a GET request. So this is like an extremely good example for you to use debounce. But I said we were not going to use RxJS explicitly, so we are not using it. Obviously, then you can put caches, because if you write the same thing again, you probably don't want to read the API again. So yeah, so basically that's the search pipe. We get our results. We use the sync pipe, so we get the results. Then we filter by popularity, and we filter by categories. So what we do in order to get the categories? In order to get the categories, we're going to have to apply everything again. So we have 2 GET requests. So we need to do like search again, get the sync pipe again, filter everything again, in order to use the latest pipe, which is get categories. And if we look at this pipe, basically this is a unique because JavaScript. What we do is we, from the array of artists, we get all of their categories, we filter them all, join them all in the array, flatten the array, and then we say that we only want unique tags, and then we sort them. The sort is out of place. It shouldn't be here. It should actually be here. But, okay, yeah. And so basically that's it. What you can see is that it's going to make 2 GET requests. You'll see the GET requests because as I type A, you get like object, because the pipe is logging what we are getting from the HTTP request. So how can we fix this? Generally, we could probably fix this if we use something like as results at the end of this pipe, and then we would push these results into here, but we can't do that because you can only use results inside of where they are defined. So we would have to use results inside this li element. What we can do is, and that's funny because I don't have HTTP requests on eBench, and I redefined like the pipe stream twice, which is, it's not very cool, but it was like the only way to do pagination because pagination was a little bit like the categories. Yeah, but then I searched around the web and I found the solution. And on Stack Overflow, right? And the guy who posted the solution was me. So yeah. Because the idea is that if instead of using an ng-for and getting all the results in the ng-for, if we put an ng-if at the top of the component, we can say that we use all the pipes and we say let as result. I suppose we have the example here, but I don't think I have it. But it has to be somewhere. But no, it's here. It's here. Okay. So let's look into it. So yes, right. So what we do here is instead of using ng-for to go, actually we use ng-for to go through the results, but we use the results and the pipes inside an ng-if, like in the beginning. So we do search pipe, search Spotify, pipe async, pipe filter popularity, pipe filter categories, let results. So we declare the results. We'll say that. So let's get to. So we will be printing the results in here. So let result of results. We print all the results, and if you want to get categories out of the results, we'll get category of results pipe. We send the results to the get categories filter, and we'll get this category. And I'm sorry, too fast, right? Is it okay? Wait a minute. So yeah, basically this is it.
I'm sorry, but how does results gets its value?
From the ngIf, it search pipe, search Spotify, pipe async, pipe let results that declares that the output of the ngIf goes to the variable. That's Angular template syntax. It's from Angular 4.
Okay. So just let something and that will get some value.
Yeah. So actually, let me show you something else.
That's the magic part.
I had a slide for this, but I thought it might sound a little presumptuous or something, because is there a way to keep the result of a pipe inside a template input variable in Angular 2? And then there's the solution by me with one upload, which is we can use observable, pipe async, else loading, so we can get like a loading if we are still doing the GET request, and we do let user, and then we can use the user inside. In this case, the user is an array, and so we can do then ng for it. So basically, that's it. You want to see it again?
No.
You're not convinced.
I don't know who designed that API. It's not the most obvious.
Oh yeah.
So maybe put the let in the beginning and make it equal to that.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I got it. In school, that you time traveled and answered your own question, and then
yeah.
Oh, there's an answer.
Yeah. So someone knows this. Yeah. It's like, yeah. So yeah. Oh, I have a slide for it. So only if you could expose the output of a pipe. Yeah. So basically, that's it. And then. So, as I said before, okay, no, actually I didn't. Thank you for listening, and well that's not it. Yeah. We are hiring a remote dev if anyone is interested. We'll probably put the slides live anyway, so you don't have to.
Yeah.
And we still have time for some questions, I think. Meetup?
I'm traumatized by that. I'll only be able to speak by tomorrow.
Okay.
Then we have time for other questions.
Yeah.
In that example of the ng, can you save the middle results?
No, you can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So only the
Yeah. I wanted that as well. Yeah.
But you could put another diff inside the diff. And
Yeah. It's true, but it's kind of sad, because I mean, you can do everything with pipes. Like you can filter everything from all the ng model inputs and the code. I mean, I think it's kind of clean, but I guess not everyone agrees with that. But yeah,
Like I recovered. Why is that on the view?
Why
not
is
use
it on the
that on
view?
the controller or
on a
that
controller.
filtering and that transformation of the results and
Yeah.
everything?
I mean, you can put it on the app component, R&D component. That's generally where people put it. But if you use a lot of functions inside the app component, first, okay, so don't quote me on. I mean, I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I think that the app component or the components in general, they are just used to hold state of what is to be shown in the view. So you could probably move this to a service, yeah. And yeah, the problem is, I think it gets a little bit complex because, I mean, if you want to cache the value and you want to you do a GET request, you say your service, then as the array, and you want to filter inside that array and you can get all the results again. Yeah, that works. It's another way of implementing it. But generally, at least what I did, because I've been working in Angular for a year, what I did a lot was putting methods inside the app component. And what happens is that when you are changing stuff, if it comes from a GET request, and if you don't change the reference, or even if you change the reference, sometimes things don't update, and it's kind of weird, and then you need to call the the element ref, and you need to call your component for check for mark for check, and honestly, and then your component gets a little bit big. You can extract that into a service. I don't really like to have singletons, but yeah, it's Angular, right? I mean, you can say where you want your service to be injected. So you can say that it's injected and each component has its own service. So in that way, it will be like an instance per component instead of having just one instance. So for example, if we would move everything for a service and we have multiple components, you would have to have this service injected at component level, never at app level. So that's one thing. Not a problem, but still, I don't think it would be, yeah, I mean, yeah, it would work, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's provided, not injected.
Provided, yes.
I think it's better because of testing. You don't have to inject whatever or actually provide what you want to while we were testing. So it's easier to test, I think.
Yeah,
and you can test the pipes.
This is actually harder to test.
No, pipes are super easy to test.
Yeah.
Individually, but that old sequence, that's only on the view. How do you test it?
Right. I mean, yeah, but you can test them individually. And the thing is that pipes are super simple. It's like they don't do almost anything. It's like one method. It's just filtering over time.
Right.
You don't have side effects.
What?
You don't have side effects.
Yeah. So it's, I'm sorry. So, but then actually, I mean, you could even have just one pipe and pass the whole state of your current filters to that pipe, and that would return like something more complex. And then you could have only one pipe, and that pipe would be tested for like everything at once. But yeah, I mean, it's probably, I mean, I thought it was a good idea. I like it. Like I prefer to have one simple pipe. Like I've got a ton of pipes that they do almost they almost do all the same thing. Instead of filtering on the component and passing like a method, and you pass the array, and then the component filters it out the service. I just make like a very small pipe. Sometimes they are like almost identical. They almost all have something like, if this is nothing and this is all, then return. Just like return everything, and yeah. That's it.
You like pipes?
Yeah.
You're not the smoking type.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. When I look at this,
You can pass a stream off the vehicle.
I mean, when I look at this, I mean, I like it. You know, I think it's easy to understand what it's doing. You know, we've got a pipe that says filter by popularity, and you know that's getting the edgy model popularity. I think it's pretty simple, and I think it's pretty easy to
I
read.
think it's simple also. It was just the first thing I noticed is like it's a lot on the view, and we're used to like don't put anything on the view.
Oh yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
it's not that it's complicated because
Yeah, I mean,
you have to do that on
Yes.
either side. It's just
Yeah, and the thing is that this is like, it doesn't have classes, right? Because if we start putting classes around here, it gets a lot more complicated. And obviously, it's like super simple example. I mean, sometimes you cannot have divs. You need to like an ng template, and yeah, the view gets more complex. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, questions? No. Okay.
Okay.
Then-
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
The music now.
Victor is not convinced.
Still recovering.
So
Oh, yeah,
for those
that's
that need
left.
to recover, we
We're
have
gonna
some
have to look
beer
that up.
and some snacks. So I think the beer will help. Understanding. Okay.